Virtual racing is a massive deal nowadays. Top racers from around the world compete against each other online, similar to how you might play your friends at FIFA or Call of Duty, except these drivers are actually good at the games they play. Iracing took off massively during the COVID-19 pandemic, and drivers from across the grid, including Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, streamed themselves racing against people from around the world to thousands of viewers. This weekend, though, the virtual racing scene put itself to shame during one of the biggest races on its calendar. Max Verstappen didn't hold back in telling the organisers what he thought, and today we're going to bring you all the details, so don't go anywhere. I guess the first question you probably want answering is, why should I care about the 24-hour virtual Le Mans race? Well, I have a bucket full of good reasons for you. First of all, virtual racing is a huge thing, and all Formula 1 drivers use it for training. You know those simulators everyone's always talking about? That is virtual racing. Though those are created by the F1 teams themselves, but many of the members of the grid use virtual racing to stay sharp and hone their race skills. They can compete against each other or people with a similar level of racecraft who never had the chance or money to make it in physical motorsports. Secondly, plenty of F1 drivers and teams were involved in this event. Some names you'll probably recognize from the roster of featured drivers are Max Verstappen, Romain Grosjean, and Felipe Drugovich. There's also three-time World Touring Car champ Andy Prelude. IndyCar's Felix Rosenqvist was also on the grid. This was a serious competition with some serious talent. Those talents drove for the likes of Alpine, Mercedes, Williams, Brabham, Porsche, Red Bull, BMW, Ferrari, and Peugeot. These teams aren't a bunch of mates with a meme for a name. These are real manufacturers and racing teams putting serious money into training their drivers. Why are they paying these teams? Because this race had a prize pool of $250,000 firstly, but also because it's advertising to a group that's notoriously hard to get to with traditional television advertising. Research done by Coca-Cola found that people in their late teens to late 20s were getting increasingly hard to reach through television advertising. They found that the best way to get them was through online channels such as YouTube and streaming site Twitch.tv, so they started sponsoring esport events. These auto manufacturers are making the most of that research and targeting that audience in the most effective way possible. Let us know in the comments if you think virtual motorsports should be taken seriously by these huge manufacturers or not. So now you know why you should care about this story. What is the controversy actually all about? While at a physical event, you might have a problem with the weather cancelling the race. In a similar way, virtual races can suffer from connection issues, which ruin the day for racers and viewers. Well, the 2023 virtual 24 hours of Le Mans was the equivalent of the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. Remember the one that was so wet that drivers only drove 2 laps behind a safety car in 3 hours, and fans couldn't get their tickets refunded because that counted as a race? Well, this was kind of the same. There were 2 problems during the course of the race. The first happened during the first quarter of the race. Entrants suffered 2 red flag stoppages and several car disconnections, which were due to the IP address of the race's server being leaked online, and people who weren't meant to be able to connect to the race joining in. Imagine someone randomly driving their Ford Focus onto the track at the Baku Grand Prix. That's basically what happened. If that wasn't frustrating enough for the competitors, later in the race, apparent server instability led to many drivers being disconnected multiple times and lap counts being erased. This is obviously infuriating for competitors, who train for months and years to compete in events like this, and who stand to earn huge amounts of money for winning. This is a serious competition, and people's livelihoods rely on it. So when all that training is ruined by a poor server quality and ridiculous security breaches, drivers obviously get seriously pissed off. One of these seriously pissed off drivers was Max Verstappen. Max branded the 24-hour of Le Mans virtual race as a clown show after connection problems saw him lose the lead and elect to retire from the event. Sharing Team Redline's number 1 car with Jeffrey Riedveld, Luke Browning, and Diogo Pinto, Verstappen took the lead at the start and stayed there. With 7 hours of the race remaining, he was more than 1 minute ahead of Team Redline's sister car. However, connection problems saw him briefly removed from the race, and when he managed to resume, he had lost a lap and a half and fallen down to 17th place. Around 90 minutes later, Verstappen was beset with similar connection problems, prompting the Dutchman to quit the race in frustration. Speaking on his Twitch stream, Verstappen aired his frustration at the event organisers, adding that he would not participate in future virtual races held on the simulator used. They can't even control their own game, Verstappen said. This is already the third time this has happened to me, getting kicked off the game while doing this race. It's also the last time I'm ever participating, because what's the point? You prepare for 5 months to try to win this championship. You're leading the championship. You're trying to win this race, but you've been preparing for 2 months, and they handle it like this. He went on to call it a clown show and said it was better for him to retire the car than continue in a race that was held on a platform that was completely incapable of doing so. The program used to host the race was called R-Factor 2. They're owned by a company called Motorsport Games, and many fans are furious at how they've behaved in the sport. While R-Factor 2 is considered an excellent simulator for just hopping in a car and racing against AI, many people see this as proof that it's incapable of hosting larger events. Fans pointed to the program Iracing, the game that hosted the meteoric rise of sim racing during the pandemic, as a platform that should be hosting these events. It has proven time and again that it's capable of doing so, and featured regularly on the streams of Lando, Norris, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and many other drivers. Max gave a statement on the messaging app Discord after his disconnect, stating just how angry he was. So I'm going to write this once. It might get deleted, but who cares? After 5 months of prep, to fight for a title, around 2 months of prep for Le Mans, this is what we get. This was a disgrace for the sim racing community and all the brands and drivers involved. Big stutter all race. 2 red flags due to attacks, you say. But then people disconnecting. Some get their laps back, some don't. Because of this stupid 4-car rule. How can you even rely on the rules when you can't control your own server? This is not the first time we do this. I've literally been disconnected 3 out of 4 events. You might think after the first or second time you learn, but this is just a disaster. The Le Mans organization should really look at what they want moving forward, because doing it on this platform is just a clown show. I'm never competing again, and that's all down to your incompetence. I hope many people will follow my lead and we can build something nice somewhere else, because all of us teams, brands, and drivers deserve it. You can tell from Max's reaction just how passionate about this he is. The viewer numbers for events like this live and die by the names of the competitors. When you have the reigning 2-time Formula 1 world champion Max Verstappen on your driver lineup, that pulls in a huge number of viewers. By the same token, when your event is a clown show and Max Verstappen gives a statement like this, you lose all those viewers and destroy your own reputation. During the commentary of the race, after Max's disconnections and eventual retirement, the commentators tried to claim that Max had a hissy fit and bailed out of the race. Their words, not mine. Clearly, this isn't the case. This is someone who's put months of work into something, seeing it fall apart right in front of them due to terrible organization. The brands that sponsor this event and the teams that participate will sit up and listen to what Max has to say, because he's bigger than the company running the event, Motorsport Games. The company was running low on favor to begin with, and Max Verstappen's experience at the virtual 24-hour of Le Mans may be the thing that kills them. Something a large portion of the sim racing community won't mind. Sim racing is taken incredibly seriously by people around the world, and Verstappen is the sport's biggest name and one of their most passionate competitors. When he says it's time for change and time for something better, brands will follow him. This might be the end of Motorsport Games, but it might also be the start of the next chapter for sim racing. What do you think of this latest Max Verstappen-centered controversy? Could he start his own sim series, partnering with races like the 24-hour Le Mans? Let us know in the comments down below, and on your way down, don't forget to subscribe in preparation for the 2023 season. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.